Good morning. This is the Formless Podcast, episode number 22. I'm Dustin, your humble host, with Tyler, the superhuman today. How's it going this morning?
It's going. Good morning.
Yeah. I was at the SuperShow in Las Vegas last week. You went 3 years ago, before COVID.
Yeah, the Martial Arts SuperShow in Las Vegas. I went to the 2019 one.
Okay. Yeah. So and today, instead of having a guest and badgering them, I thought we'd just talk about our experiences there because I was talking with my wife. This is kind of the starting point for me today. And talking to my wife about the show and stuff, I said sometimes, like martial arts is a passion. I really enjoy it. I live for it. If I don't get to go or I don't get to train after a certain amount of days, few days, I start to feel like something's missing. I get a little grouchy and irritable.
All knotted up.
Yeah. But that being said, sometimes it gets a little stagnant. Like you just kind of, not that you're going through the motions, but that it just gets the same old. A little Groundhog Day, if you will. Mm-hmm. And you got to do things once in a while to kind of rekindle that fire. And that was like the perfect
kindling.
Yeah. Well, it was like gasoline. On it. It really lit me up, and it was awesome. It was 5 days. I went to a mixture of training, physical training, and then a few lectures where like somebody is getting up and just talking about different things that they do.
So it was 5 days total.
5 days total, yeah.
I think when I went, I want to say, I could be wrong, but I think it was 4 days.
Okay.
So they must have upped it.
So it is 4 days, but there's an extra, like you can, like a pre-show event, or like a pre-con event, and we did that. The problem was my flight got all screwed up with United. And so instead of getting to the airport and then like jamming over to the convention center, I had like a 3-hour layover in like San Francisco, I think. So I had to, when we got to the airport, when we landed in Las Vegas, I just grabbed my stuff, ran outside, we caught an Uber and jammed over there. Well, I was like 2.5 hours late.
For the pre-show
day. And there was this seminar. It was 2.5 hours long, or it was 3 hours long, and I missed a good 2 hours and probably 15 minutes of the whole thing, which was a big bummer because it was all about how to teach and how to like connect with people and different ways to do that using different equipment, different little gimmicks and just ways to keep people involved. And one of the cool tricks they were talking about is like have somebody take a stopwatch or a timer on your phone. And while you're teaching class, I'm going to try this next time I teach. Start the timer and stop it only when there's action going. Anytime you're like there's a down, when you're changing gear, getting drinks of water, or if you're talking, you turn that timer off. So you take like a 45-minute class or a 50-minute class, and you see how much time you're actually doing something.
Oh.
And like you can kind of find the gaps and fix that. So you're giving students more stuff. Like how much time are you actually doing things versus talking or goofing around, drinking water, putting gear on, taking gear off, all of those little breaks and things.
So it's like so when you're talking and teaching and like conveying the plan, the lesson to the students, and then you would be doing the exercise.
Mm-hmm.
That's so when you're talking or doing the actual exercise itself.
The timer's going.
The timer's going, but it's those in between
moments when you take a break, when you're getting a drink of water, if you're just BSing, those kind of stuff, timer's off.
So like, okay, throw your sparring gear on and it takes everyone 5 minutes. Well, that's 5 minutes out of a 45-minute class.
That kind of stuff. And so...
Gotcha.
And that's when you lose attention. That's when you can lose people's attention. and lose their involvement. You want to keep that motivation high, you want to keep that energy high, you want to keep things flowing. The more time you take to put your gear on, the more time you take to get a drink of water or take a break, whatever the case may be, that's all time that things kind of drop back down. And you want to keep their engagement up so they're enthused to come to your class, so they're enthused to participate, so they want to be there and want to do things. That's cool. Then just stuff like that. It was really cool. So I was really sorry I missed that. But the cool thing is the same 3 guys that were doing that course did one later on in the week. So I got to go to that and get some stuff out of it. But one of the cool drills they did was they had people in the audience participate. They took a volunteer and they're like, okay, you're going to teach everybody in this room something. It doesn't matter what, you're going to teach them something to do with your martial art. You can use any tool you want here, but you can only pick one type. So like one focus mitt or one type of ring or, all the various different things. And so as they were going, then these people that were running the program would change something. They'd either change the instructor, they would change the equipment they were using, or they would change the action they were doing, the lesson. A couple of people were just on the ball, and no matter what they threw at them, they seemed to like run with it. They were like, okay, we just adapted. It was like, how well can you adapt to all these changes that we're going to give you? And then you'd get some people in there and they'd just choke. And it was very cool to see, and I didn't do it because I wasn't 100% sure what exactly we were doing because I was late to the course, but it was cool to see, and like I wanted to do it after watching it for a few minutes. I'm like, oh, I should have volunteered.
That's so interesting. So I'm really curious as to I like that, like being able to have something thrown at you and you just have to adapt and go with it. So I'm curious. So back to what you were saying about that one seminar where you're timing yourself, timing things. So the simple solution is, well, if you're just spending so much time BSing or changing gear, like what's the solution for that? You just start snapping your fingers and like, okay guys, let's go. Or minus the snapping fingers.
My solution to that was like, get your ducks in a row before class starts. Like, know what you're going to do and have a plan. The more you have to plan, the less time you're going to spend going, what do I do next?
Right.
The other part of that was like, it puts a definite number on it. Like, you screwed around for 30 minutes of a 50-minute class. Mm-hmm. And there's no, you can't lie. It's like if you got up this morning and just said, I'm going to do 50 push-ups, and you only managed 30. Well, you could tell everyone you did 50 push-ups, but the results are only going to show that you did 30. It's that kind of thing. It puts a hard number on stuff. And so that was cool. And it's just like a way to like hold yourself accountable if you're doing something, and you can apply that to a lot of different things, work, if you've got so much stuff to do in a given time, and if you actually sat down and went, am I actually doing this in this allotted time, or am I spending a good 10 minutes checking my email or getting a coffee or whatever, instead of actually sitting down and doing the work
itself.
And that was just like a different way of thinking about things that I hadn't really put into a box. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't really sat down and went, oh, okay, how much time am I actually giving these people that are at my class that I'm teaching? Am I giving them a full 45 minutes or 50-minute class? Or are they getting 36, something like that,
Yeah.
So it was just cool. It was just a stuff that I hadn't thought of before. So that was really cool. Now, you went. Now, who was there when you went? Do you remember?
Yeah. So 2019 when I went. Gosh, 3 years ago, a little hazy, but so definitely Harinder Singh was there. I took a class with Harinder Singh.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude.
I took a class with Carlos Machado. and his guys that he had with him. That was another great class. And then a lot of the other classes I went to were they were more of like a lecture class on like stuff that like administrative type stuff for the dojo. For a dojo, like getting your online presence better, or one lady I went to, she was really good. She was like a Taekwondo black belt, and she was talking about how working with kids.
Oh yes, I know who you're talking about. I took one of her things too.
Yeah, so she was good. But yeah, like I said, getting a little hazy, but like you, I remember coming back from that just being like, yeah, like that was so good, like that was so worth it going to the Super Show. And and it's really good for the it's really good because sometimes, not necessarily us or anyone in particular, but sometimes it seems like we get into almost like a small isolate. Sometimes it's easy to get within your art, you get kind of isolated, so to speak, and you don't have outside viewpoints to come into your art to say like, oh well, okay, we do this is how we punch. Now this other martial art says, oh, but now you could punch like that. Yes. And it's so cool that you have this meeting of the minds of like different arts coming in that have different perspectives on things.
I liken it to like buying a TV and leaving it on one channel.
Oh, that's a really good analogy.
If you just leave it on one channel all the time and never change it, you're getting the same stuff all the time.
Same programming.
Yeah. That gal that did the teaching or the student with the kids, Melody Johnson.
Okay, that sounds
her
familiar.
name. Yeah, she's out of Florida. She's really good.
That's right.
Yeah, really good. My wife is an early childhood education major. And so she was always telling me stuff with our own kids, like, you can't do this, you got to work like this, they don't understand that, and all of these things. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, what do you know? And then I go to this Melody Johnson's course on childhood development. And at each age group, there are different things that are developing emotionally, physically, mentally. There's all of these different realms, and depending on like from age 5 to 7, their muscular development is not very fast. Mm-hmm. I think it's that, but their emotional development is growing. And then at the next age group, it's a completely different thing. And I was like texting my wife afterwards, like, "Hey, did you know this?" Blah blah. She's like, "I've been telling you this for years, you dummy."
You just weren't listening.
Yeah.
You just weren't ready for it yet.
Well, I wasn't ready for it probably, but it was really good. It was really good. But I like how you said that like there's such a meeting of the minds, and one of my big takeaways from that is there were, I don't know, I'm guessing 3,000 people. There was a ton of people there.
Wow.
Everybody was so polite. Everybody was so nice. There wasn't like rude. I'm sure there were, but I didn't see it. Everybody was like, "Excuse me, thank you, please. Can I get by you? Sorry about that." There was not a coarse word that I heard anywhere.
When I went, it was the same way, and I noticed it too.
It's so cool.
It is, and it's like one of those things where the saying goes, in regards to the United States and the Second Amendment, an armed society is a polite society.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so for martial arts, most of us are armed with skills, how to defend ourselves. An armed society is a polite society.
Yeah.
We're all nice to each other because we all know that.
Yeah. Well, and on the flip side of that is everybody in that room had probably been punched in the mouth a time or two.
Exactly.
And knows what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, they've been punched in the mouth a few times, so it's like, don't want to stir anything up.
Don't want to stir this pot, you know. Yeah, it was really cool. And then now, Bill Wallace, Superfoot, was there, and I did an early morning stretch with that guy.
Oh wow,
that was awesome. So a couple of things there. I woke up early. We had a Airbnb about 1.5 miles away from the convention center. I stayed up a little late the night before because there was an after party thing that we had gone to, and they had free drinks, and it was a shindig. It was awesome, but I was a little tired, and so I decided I'm not going to Uber. I'll just walk. I'll get warmed up, and I'll be ready to go when I get there. Don't walk through downtown Los Angeles at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Downtown Las Vegas.
Not Las Vegas, not Los Angeles. Las Vegas, excuse me. That was I just ruined my joke. Damn it. Las Vegas is there's some sad sights to see in the morning. I'll tell you. I'll just leave it at that. There's some sad sights to see. But anyway, get to this stretch. We just warm up, stretch, and then he does a couple of kicking exercises. The guy, I was so impressed by him. He's 77 years old. He could still drop down and do the splits.
Wow. And
he had a couple of guys that were there helping out with him and stuff. And he could kick. They were all 6 foot, roughly. He could kick them in the head at 77. I was just like, okay. I could still kick people in the head 6 foot tall. at 42, I can still do that on a good day. I want to be able to do that when I'm 77. If I could do that, I'd be a happy man. So, yeah,
that's pretty cool. I met him when I went there too.
Super nice guy.
Super nice.
He was cracking jokes and things the whole time. It was awesome.
Yeah, I didn't get to do a class or a stretch with him. There was the after party in some bar. Some high end bar, and Sensei and I were in there, and he points out Bill Wallace, and at that point I didn't know who he was.
Oh, okay.
And Sensei's like, oh, you gotta go over there and get your picture with him. And so I did. I was just like, hey, Mr. Wallace, like, hey, can I get my picture with you? And so that was my extent of talking with him. But he, was super nice, super cool, and you could tell like he's just real personable.
Well, and he's still like getting after it. At 77. He's still getting on it and like doing things, and it was really cool. He was telling stories about, so if you haven't, anybody who's listening to this, if you haven't, you should get on YouTube and just type in search for Bill Superfoot Wallace. He's got some fights from the late 70s that are just really, really awesome. He only kicked with his left leg because he had an injury to his knee when he was a kid. Like he had to have surgery or something on his knee. And so he wasn't real comfortable with it. He was always kind of worried about it. So he did all of his kicking with one leg, pretty much. Well, he was telling this story about how he was doing all of that when he was fighting. He only kicked with his left leg, but he's got one knockout with his other leg.
With his right?
With his bad leg, yeah. And he's like, I'm 1 for 1. Batting 1,000 there. I don't need to change that up. So we're all good. Watch out for that right leg because bats 1,000 every time, So he was just cracking jokes, and it was really cool. I saw Carlos Machado there. Like you did a class grappling.
Yep.
Yeah, he was doing one of those, but I didn't get to. I had to do something else. I can't remember what it was, but. Really cool guy. Talked to him for a minute. Ernie Reyes Jr. was there, who's an actor. If you
that sounds so familiar.
Okay, he was in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies.
Oh, okay.
He was in Surf Ninjas as a kid, real little kid. Super nice guy.
Cool. I think he play one of the turtles?
I can't remember if he did or not.
Okay.
It's been so long since I seen that movie. But his dad was like a stuntman and martial artist, Ernie Reyes Sr. Super nice guy, just awesome. It was a really cool thing. Saw Master Ken. Got a picture with him in front of the Black Belt magazine. They had like a big, giant, blown up blank for like a magazine cover. It just said Black Belt magazine. It had stuff on the sides, and then you posed in front of it with Master Ken. That was really cool. That was a highlight for me. His YouTube series is great.
Yeah, I've seen parts of him. He was pretty funny.
I did a class with Cynthia Rothrock.
Oh,
okay. Who they gave some award to her at one of the after parties, Lifetime Achievement Award or something. There's another person. She's like in her 60s, I think. Oh God.
Don the Dragon Wilson, I think, is one of them.
Yeah. He's won an award there. He wasn't there this year. She did a course. She just exercised. It was like old school martial arts. We're gonna exercise. So we did a little stretching. We did some squats and sit-ups, and then we did this weird drill, and I can't remember the name of it. What you called it? She basically said it was body hardening, and you're just smashing your wrists together with a partner. And the person I got partnered with, who's a wonderful lady, and I can't remember her name right now. They have a school in Denver. She's like, oh, this is right up my alley. We do this all the time. Oh my gosh, it was so painful.
Yeah.
It was rough, dude. And my partner was just a trooper. She's like, oh yeah, we do this all the time. I can go as hard as you want. And I'm like, oh, this is too hard. This is too hard. But yeah, it was cool. That exercise, that whole thing kicked my butt.
Oh, I bet.
She did some stuff where like, okay, normally you just do like a body weight squat. Instead of spreading your legs so far out, you spread them about shoulder width apart, and then you get on your toes.
Okay.
And you bend your knees just slightly. So you're like you're gonna sit down in a chair, but not fully drop down. And then you just do little squats, like 1 to 2 inches of movement. But you have to stay on your toes. Dude, it burns.
Yeah,
it was it was brutal. It shredded my legs. And then I had to walk. That was like the first day, I believe, of the actual thing. So then all the rest of the week, I'm walking around and I can feel every step I take. And she did some brutal sit-ups with us and stuff, and then a little bit of stretching and things. It was awesome. That part was the time of my life. But dude, those squats, I just remember oh my gosh, everybody was groaning in that part.
By the end of the class.
Yeah. It was brutal. And she, to her credit, she did everything with us. And she didn't break a sweat. She's wearing a full gi. Most of us were in shorts or sweatpants or, cool fitting workout clothes, And then she didn't break a sweat, and she didn't stop talking
while she's
doing all the exercises, and she's counting them out and joking and bantering with people, and I was just amazed at her fitness and her level of
ability.
Yeah, I was just wow. I was like, holy cow, that's just. A couple of times I caught myself stopping just to kind of pay attention to what she was doing, and holy crap, man, that's insane. So she was a legit martial artist for sure.
I think when I went, I want to say I did meet her. I want to say I did meet her. She was walking around, and I got to meet her real quick, I think.
Okay.
But a movie director, actually, I know, that I actually texted last night. He makes movies down in L.A. He has actually worked with Cynthia Rothrock.
No kidding.
Yeah, on several movies. And he's like, yeah, I'm friends with her. We'll go out to lunch. We'll hang out. And he's had her in he did one movie called the Martial Arts Kid. And she was in it in a featured role, and Don the Dragon Wilson was in it, and other martial artists, and but yeah, everyone. And he said the same thing, like you're saying, she just really cool and knows what she's doing, and that was.
And she has 4 or 5 black belts.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, she's been doing this for forever.
Yeah, she knows a thing or two.
Well, probably. Really, really cool.
No, I think, you know, I want to go to the Super Show again. I think that was a really good.
Yeah. I think anybody should go that's currently training or has an interest in martial arts. I mean, it's not cheap to go, but it's totally worth it.
And it'll fire you up.
Absolutely. Like, I came out of there just on cloud 9 every night. I didn't really have a bad experience. You know, there's a sales floor. There's always people trying to hawk stuff, and they have their things out, and some of it's really neat and interesting. And there's a couple stuff that's like, okay, whatever. You know, you have that everywhere you go. But for the most part, I would say it was. I would do it again in a heartbeat. I'd go tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was worth the time spent away from work and family and everything. It was really cool. I learned a lot. Harinder Singh was just freaking awesome. That class was like, it was the last one we did before we went home. And it was amazing. It was everything that I was hoping it would be, and then more so. Like, there's another guy who's like working. We're doing drills and stuff. He never stopped drilling, never stopped doing exercises and doing these different drills. And he's talking the whole way through.
You're talking Harinder Singh?
Yeah. I mean, it just, and it was pretty dang intense. Like, we were moving. I know I was huffing and puffing, you know, and he just bang, 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 bang. We didn't have any downtime, and it was really cool. Learned a lot, and want to do it again. Like, I want to, like, I tried to hook up with him. I ended up talking to him, running into him a couple of times throughout the week, and talking to him about martial arts and podcasting, because he does the Black Belt podcast for Black Belt Magazine, and kind of getting some of his thoughts on things and stuff. And he invited us to go down and train in, I think he's in Long Beach or Orange County. He's somewhere down in LA area. And as soon as I can get the opportunity to do that, man, I'm
drive down,
walk down,
hitchhike
down. Yeah, just cool. I dug his philosophy, the way he thinks about things, and just some of the stuff that he was talking about are in ways that I hadn't thought about it before, in regards to sparring or self-defense, or just cool stuff that it was like it. There was a few times where I've like stopped and was like, oh, I've never thought of that. I haven't thought about it like this, you know. So it was really, really cool.
Huh. Yeah, I remember when I did his class. In 2019. He had us partner up, and we only had it was like a 50-minute class, so you know things were moving pretty quick. Almost too quick for me, not due to his fault, just due to you've got 50 minutes, like
make it count.
And then all of a sudden you're working with people you've never worked with before, you know, and it was just, to me it was just, I would do better now, but at the time I was like, okay, like we're gonna, you know, do this, but I was like, we're moving so fast, and so I partnered up with some guy. And Harinder had us doing slipping. You know, somebody throws a punch at your face and you slip to one side or the other. Well, this guy threw a lead hand strike, what we would call a back fist, but you know somebody else might call a jab.
Yeah.
And this guy threw it, and I meant to slip to the one side, but I ended up slipping right into the punch, and so I got this guy got me right on the nose, wham, and my head kind of jerked back just a hair, you know. The guy saw me slipping into his punch, and you know was like pulled it back a little bit, so it was like, you know, like, but it's whack, my head went back just a hair, and I was like, oh man, but I didn't bleed or anything. And but that was a good lesson for me. Like, oh nope, you didn't do the drill right. You slipped right into the punch. Like,
yeah, you got to pay attention to what's going on.
That's one you got to work on.
Yeah.
And so that happened in his class. But we did stuff like defanging the snake moves. Yeah, where somebody's punching at you and you lift up your elbows. I mean, I can't demonstrate on this, but
you divert the punch to the
elbow. So their fists hit straight on with your elbow, and it's supposed to break bones in their fists.
Well, that's a hard bone.
What?
That's a hard bone.
Yeah, and defanging the snake. So that was a really good drill. Never forgot that one. And then Harinder Singh, when he said, he's like, well, because Harinder Singh primarily teaches Jeet Kune Do, right?
Yeah.
He does BJJ.
He does
boxing,
BJJ, Jeet Kune Do.
I think some judo.
Wing Chun.
Maybe.
I think a little judo, and he does Kali or Eskrima.
Yeah, that's right. So, but he was saying, in regards to what he said something to the effect of this. In Jeet Kune Do, it boils down to these two circles, and he puts his hands up by his eyes and makes like he's wearing glasses. These two circles, and then he rotates his hands down to his groin area and says these two circles.
Yeah,
those are essentially the four targets, or two targets. Your eyes and
your groin. Yeah.
And I'll never forget that. And he ended the class on that.
Really?
Yeah, I was towards the end of the class. He's like, in Jeet Kune Do, it all boils down to these two circles and these two circles. And I was like, yeah, no, that
makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that was a really good class. And I learned that. I got punched in the face, and
we were doing some drills, like a flow kind of thing, and I tried to teach it Monday when I came back, and I had the hardest time getting it. Mm-hmm. Like I was so focused on what to do next that I wasn't focused on what I was supposed to be doing at that moment, that I kept tripping over my own 2 feet, so to speak. And it took me a while. I eventually got it, but it was it was an eye-opening experience. Mm-hmm. It was really a learning thing. It was really cool. Once I got it, I was a lot smoother eventually, but it took me a minute. It was kind of like it wasn't anything like super complicated, but it was just like, how sometimes you stutter or you stumble over a word that you've said 100 times, and for whatever reason your brain just kind of gets a little bit static and you can't pronounce a certain word, or you mumble something instead of. It was like that, and it was like, this is all stuff I know how to do, but yet it's just not. It's not flowing it should. It's not making it's like trying to roll a block down the hill, as opposed to a ball.
Well, and new environment, different training people, different teacher,
and I was excited and nervous and all of those things. Yeah,
that's I think that's one of the greatest things that I have found out about myself definitely since I've been 17. But then you could say, okay, well, it's then okay, this started when I was 17, and then now and then in my 20s I learned it, and now in my 30s. But in the last couple months, I've really realized, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations that you're not familiar with. Yeah, that is so good for you. So good for you. Going to the SuperShow. Putting yourself out there, and you're training for just a hair, one class, just a small amount of time with somebody you've never worked with before, and on top of that, then now you're moving fast. That's really good, because then it lets you know that you were trying to roll that block down the hill. You know, like, oh, that my flow, like, I know this, but like, now my flow is kind of like real stuttery. Herky-jerky, yeah.
As opposed to this nice, smooth transition from one thing to the next.
One thing to the next. Yeah, I read this book one time. I've actually read it 3 times. It's called Wild at Heart by John Eldredge. It's a really good book. And like I said, I've read it 3 times, called Wild at Heart by John Eldredge. And he said in it, that was so profound that has stuck with me ever since I read it. And he said as a man or you know, as a person, what man or woman, you should go into those situations you might normally avoid. Those uncomfortable situations that you would normally avoid. That it was, you know, I don't like training with a teacher I haven't trained with before, you know, that's uncomfortable. It's like, nope, you need to go there. Yeah. Like, that will stretch your boundaries. Well, and if it's not a safe thing, then obviously that's not what you do. You know, within reason.
Don't go do heroin.
Yeah, exactly. But it was like, go into those situations that you would normally avoid. And like, I noticed with myself, if I'm hesitant to go to this activity or this person's house because maybe these people are going to be here, you know, that it's like, no, I need to go. Like, I need to go and do that to kind of face that within reason. Right?
Yeah,
within reason.
Well, it's kind of like with kids, and you're trying to get them to eat vegetables.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're not hiding it in their food, if you're just putting it on a plate and it's green or yellow or something that they don't normally put in their mouth, and you're like, okay, you got to try it. You got to try it at least a couple of times until you actually know if you want this or like this or that kind of thing. Plus, it's good for you. It's not terrible. You know, broccoli, take it or leave it. Some people don't like it. I love it.
But, I love it too.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But you know, that's just the first vegetable that came to my head. But my kids have always, like, once they've like started, they'd eat it as kids, as infants. They'd eat that stuff all the time as little kids. And then as they got older and like actually realized things and started to kind of put things together, it's like, wait a minute, that's green. I don't want to eat that. You know, and you're like,
yeah. That's healthy.
You've been eating this for the last 6 months. What happened to you? You know. But you got to stretch those boundaries a little bit.
Stretch those boundaries
a little bit.
And I think that, you know, just like go into the SuperShow, and any industry or hobby that one has, I think, you know, whether someone is into music, whether someone's into martial arts, whether someone's, you know, into construction, whatever, you know, especially these days, there's all these conventions, you know, that happen, you know. You know, I went to the SHOT Show in Vegas in 2018.
Yeah.
The SHOT Show, which was all, you know, guns and hunting and ammunition and outdoors, and
that's one I would like to go to.
Yeah, well, I was working on the hunting show at the time, so I was able to get in. I don't think it's open to the public, but I was doing a hunting show, so we were able to get tickets. But yeah, so like whatever hobbies somebody has, like to go to one of these conventions and see what else is out there that you might not find online or within your little slice of an industry.
And you can see it in person too.
And you see it in person. That's the best thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's totally like, different.
It is. It's completely different. A lot of that stuff, I don't know how well it would translate to watching it on TV.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of, it's like...
You have to do it.
You have to do it. It's like swimming or flying or cooking. You know, like somebody can tell you all about those things, but until you actually get in there and do it, you're not going to experience it.
Oh yeah, that drill of defanging the snake. When somebody punches at you, you throw up your elbow so they hit your elbow, like, to a couch warrior. That looks, I could do that, you know.
Or sounds dumb, or any number of different things. Yeah.
And then you get up there and do it, and it's like, oh, this is actually harder than it looks, you know, initially.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Crazy.
So, yeah, I do want to go back and at some point go again, and I just think it'd be a really cool thing, you know. We went every year, you know, like,
Yeah.
get a group from the dojo to go, and it's
Absolutely. Yeah,
You know?
it's definitely cool. I definitely want to go again. One guy that I was disappointed didn't make it was Benny the Jet Yakitas was supposed to be there. And man, I saw that. I didn't know he was I didn't even know he was supposed to be there, but they had a booth set up for him and his name, just on a piece of paper, like this is his spot kind of thing. And so I saw that. I was like, oh, dude, no way. That's awesome. And I come back like maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, and it was gone. And they had this, and I'm like, what happened? He was supposed to be here, So that was kind of a disappointment because I wanted to shake that guy's hand and kind of talk to him. He's an undefeated kickboxer from like early 80s, I think.
right.
Yeah. He was in a couple of movies too. Jackie Chan movie, and I get a picture of the guy's face. John Cusack movie.
Really?
Yeah, Grosse Point Blank.
Did he? I'm assuming he did martial arts.
Yeah. If you haven't seen Grosse Point Blank, you should check that out.
I have.
He's the bad guy. I think he's in where they're fighting in the grocery store, or the like 7-Eleven or something. They have like a big fight scene. They're trying to shoot each other, and then they duke it out. I want to say he's in that one, but he's also in a Jackie Chan movie, Meals on Wheels or Wheels on Meals.
Huh.
It's not a very good movie, but the fight scene with Jackie Chan and Benny is awesome.
Really?
I rented the movie not too long ago, probably about 3 or 4 months ago, and I just fast forwarded through the scenes because it's not that great.
Is it a newer movie?
Oh no, it's older.
Oh, okay.
It's older. And it's one I don't know the backstory behind it, but the fight scene between Benny and Jackie Chan is freaking
Good.
It's good. Yeah. It's really awesome.
Yeah, no, that's and I think that whatever industry somebody is in, whatever they do, be it martial arts or basket weaving, whatever your thing is that you do, to take it to the next level, I think now one has to start traveling, and traveling outside of your area to go seek out different skills, different ways of doing things. And that, to me, that's the next logical step. We got, our black belts.
Yeah.
And we stay within our area here of, Shasta County, California. But now it's the next level is to start travel to the SuperShow, to go,
expand your horizons.
Expand your horizons, go down to LA, like we're talking about, like you said, Harinder Singh invited the dojo down, right? And
basically, yeah.
And come go travel and learn some more things, and learn all these different skills. So, but that applies to any industry, whatever hobby, passion somebody is in. That's like there comes a point when it's like, okay, now you've actually got to go, and take a step explore.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the great thing, and especially if it's something like every year, like the Martial Arts SuperShow.
For sure. It was an eye-opening experience, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. It was really cool. Just a couple of quick things here before I think we're gonna call it good. Still working on trying to get stuff going on YouTube. I'm having a little bit of trouble. We don't have any video of this show. So YouTube likes video, obviously. Mm-hmm. But there's a way to convert. I have to convert the audio file to a different file. And then there's a way to do that and then put just a straight image up. And you have like sound. Mm-hmm. So I got to figure out how to do that. I haven't figured that out yet. But once I do, we'll get that rocking and rolling. Then one other thing that I mentioned in an update that I was going to talk about, Echelon Front, which is a company run by Jocko Wilnick and some friends. They have a list, and if you want to like work on yourself, work on just improving or reaching some goals, they have this little checklist that I got off their website that I thought was really cool. And it basically has the days of the week. There's no days off, Mondays through Sunday. And there's 8 things that you should work on. And it helps. It's like physical fitness, just exercise, waking up on time, eating right, drinking water, no sugar-coated lies, no donuts, which I admittedly been slacking on that one. Reading and remembrance, taking time out each day to do something meaningful. It's really good, and it's actually I've been hitting it for 4 days now. It's pretty cool. It's making me hold myself accountable. So check that out if you're looking for something like that. We have if you own a company, you want to build a website, go to chromolypro.com. A good friend of ours runs that site. Does SEO work and pretty much whatever you want. Contact him. Nice people there. If you want to train with us, Blaincourt's Total Self-Defense, BlaincourtTSD.com. You can find them on the web. We are in Anderson, California on McMurray Drive. Welcoming place. We'd be happy to have you there. If you like us, have questions, want to tell us to get a life, whatever, you can email us at formlesspod@gmail.com. Reach out on Twitter, formless_the. We are on Instagram at the Formless Podcast. We have a Facebook group called the Formless Podcast. Reach out on any one of those avenues. We'd be happy to hear from you. We will respond back to you. That reminds me of one other thing. I've been checking out all of our analytics on the different streaming platforms. Somebody is listening to us. Either they have a VPN or not, but they're listening out of New York. I really don't know who you are, but thank you. And reach out and give us a shout out, because that just blows my mind that somebody out of New York is listening. I've never been to New York. I don't know. Have you been to New York?
Stopped over for an hour. Never other than that.
Yeah. I met a guy at the show at the SuperShow who was from New York. Super nice guy. I take back every mean thing I've ever said about that state. Just a great guy. Anyway, he told me he'd give us a shout out and listen. So very cool. But this has been going on for a couple of weeks. There's somebody either in New York or they have a VPN that is telling the analytics that they're from New York. So whatever the case may be, reach out if you know who you are. I think that's it, man. I think that's it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for putting up with us. If you want to be on our show, reach out. If you have an idea, reach out. If you want us to shut up, again, reach out. Tell us. I can take it. I got thick skin. If you want us on your show, holler. Thank you.